All right, we got a Forbes article today that states that FBI warns that iPhone and Android users that they want lawful access to all of your encrypted data. All right, all right. So let's see. Republished on February 24th with further responses to Apple's move and implications for what happens next in the U.S. All right, so the furor after Apple removed full iCloud security for UK users may feel a long way from American users this weekend, but it's not far from it. What has just shocked the UK is exactly what the FBI told me it also wants in the US: lawful access to any encrypted user data. The Bureau's quiet warning was confirmed just a few weeks ago. The UK news cannot be seen in isolation and follows years of battling between big tech and governments over warranted legal access to encrypted messages and content to fuel investigations into serious crimes such as terrorism and child abuse, right? So they're focusing on terrorism and child abuse, the trafficking and whatnot, right? All right, so as reported in 2020, it is looking ever more likely that proponents of end to end security, the likes of Facebook and Apple, will lose their campaign to maintain user security, aka privacy, as a priority. So it says it has taken 5 years, but here we are now. So basically, Facebook and Apple is getting ready to lose the fight to maintain uh, user privacy, right? And nobody, we all, most of us don't like, the child trafficking and other abuses that take place uh, on these platforms where bad actors are, you know, behaving in a way, that is harmful to our people or children, right? So I totally understand that position. See, in this article, it also expresses how the UK and the US they share data, they share information or intelligence, right? So that's kind of a big deal, and UK is considered foreign to the US, but they share intelligence information, right? So let's get down here. All right, so there are three primary providers of end-to-end encryption messaging in the U.S. and the UK, with Apple, Google, and Meta, which is like, uh, Apple with iPhone, right? iCloud. You got Google with all of their applications, and you got Meta with all of their applications. They got numerous ones, right? We know about Facebook, Instagram. So, it's like encrypted messaging. When you DM somebody, it's like encrypted messaging, right? So that's what the focus is. It says the UK has just pushed Apple to compromise iMessage, and it is more than likely that secret discussions are also ongoing with the other two. It makes no sense to single out Apple, as that would simply push bad actors to other platforms like Meta and Google, right? You know, Google's in encryption. Uh, let me see. I'm trying to think of what the end-to-end encryption would be, with, besides like email. You can send like a encrypted email through there, and then on Meta, Facebook has a Messenger, right? Messenger app. That's like the end-to-end encryption, and then Instagram got the DM functions, which is like an end-to-end encryption. Just for examples, right? It says it makes no sense to single out Apple. So the other two, Meta and Google, are going to be targeted basically by the FBI. Is what they're saying. So, in doing this, the UK has changed the art of the possible, bringing new optionality to security agencies across the world. So they did it with one, the Apple or iCloud, and so all the other agencies they want the in encryption encrypted data for, right, to for legal processes. Basically, I could tell that's where it's going. At the head of this particular article, it says they want lawful access. So, it says the FBI and our partners often can't obtain digital evidence, which makes it even harder for us to stop the bad guys. It says the reality is we have an entirely unfettered space that's completely beyond fully lawful access, right? So they're talking lawful, and there's a difference between what is lawful and what is legal. They're separate processes. If you know, it's just like your rights. Your rights you have if you know them, but if you don't know, then they'll presume that you know, and they'll run you over, through their legal processes, right? So, uh, okay, so they say the reality is they have an entirely unfettered space that's completely beyond fully lawful access, a place where child predators, terrorists, and spies can conceal their communications and operate with impunity, and we've got to find a way to deal with that problem. All right, so we're talking the Federal Bureau of Investigations. Federal has to do with the federal government, right? The federal government does what? Tax people. So these processes are legal, right? And so their processes are tied to the United States dollar, right? So what's happening, in the past decade or so have been them trying to get off the United States dollar. Namely, one of the major ones is BRICS, right? They're trying to get off the U.S. dollar because the federal government, along with the International Monetary Fund, that like working in tandem, in concert with one another, have been sanctioning these places, and saying, oh, these are terrorists over here, they're weapons of mass destruction over here, and these are lies. Now, the bad actors that they're talking about are are people in high places and people in low places. But it seems like a front to see what everybody's doing. It's like it's all espionage. It's all gathering information, seeing who's doing what. So remember, the federal government is responsible for like taxation and fees and stuff like that. So it's all comes down to money, right? Because if they don't have access to all of the crimes, they lose money. Because reason why is because crimes they all benefit from bonds. Bonds are like their securities, their assurances that there's money being generated. So every time a person is locked up, they get paid. Like private prisons, there's like a conglomerate, like a prison organization. I forget the name right offhand, but they make money for each person that gets institutionalized. That's why this immigration deportation thing is such a huge deal, right? And they're talking about trying to find government like government ways to to find the deficiencies, and and trying to draw down the national debt or whatever. It's like in the trillions, something that they created, by the way, this federal government. And then all of a sudden they want to act like they're the good guy. I'm not saying that there aren't other bad actors, but they're actually a party to those bad actors. It actually enabled those bad actors. It's a long history of it, right? So it says, ironically, because the U.S. and U.K. share intelligence information, as I mentioned earlier, some American lawmakers have petitioned the Trump administration to threaten the UK, see more bullying, with sanctions, more bullying sanctions, unless it backtracks on the Apple encryption mandate. See, that's this. Oh man, but that's a political view, not a security view. It's more likely this will go the other way now, as EFF has warned. The UK news is an emergency warning for us all, and that's exactly right. The public should not have to choose between safe data and safe communities. We should be able to have both. Because then now they're talking about compromising encryption. Because if you don't have encryption, what is the point of saying something is safe, something is encrypted, where bad actors can't get your information, but they're making it to where uh, Google, Meta, and Apple have to divvy up encrypted data to bad actors, basically, who are going to try to prosecute cases and create those bonds that they benefit from for their own personal gain and use, which we've seen. in the past. This is what's happening, and these are the actual terrorists, because these people keep people poor. These are the money changers that the scriptures talk about. This is a whole scheme. Like they talk about racketeering in a corrupt organization, but who are the actual corrupt organizations that are stealing from the American people, from people abroad across borders, right? He needs to keep it at home, right? He go and plant his flag. He has an imperial mind state. He wants his hands in everybody's pots, and he is the thief, right? He is a thief. He is a terrorist, right? He is the hacker. He is the child predator, right? And he's the one taking advantage of everything, right? So it says terrorists, hackers, child predators, and more are taking advantage of end-to-end encryption to conceal their communications and illegal activities from us. Who is us? The feds. The FBI's formal position is that it is a strong advocate for the wide and consistent use of responsibly managed encryption. Encryption that providers can decrypt and provide to law enforcement when served with a legal order. They didn't say lawful, they said illegal. See, legal. See, that's where things get real tricky. And because people don't know the difference between what is actually lawful and what is actually legal, because they don't teach us these things in their institutions, by the way, which does include schools and prisons. They are both considered institutions. Well, man, just this is like a sidebar. When we was going to school, some of us called buses to school, right? Those buses are some of the same types of buses that they use for prison institutions, right? And some of the same lessons you learn in a public education setting is some of the same stuff you learn in a public prison setting. These are publicly traded entities, and the schools, they get paid for each student, just like the prison gets paid for each inmate. An inmate is basically a student. Institutionalized by the federal government. Govern means control. Mentis comes from the word mentality. Mind control. Y'all put this stuff together, man. I'm out of here. All right, one.